Hey everyone, it's Mari. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I'm going to be working on a 12 by 12 layout using some mixed media, and I'm going to start out with a really heavy white cardstock as my background. I think this is a basil cardstock, and it's just got a really nice thickness to it for using some mixed media. I'm going to be using my really cheap little watercolor palette here today for my watercolor. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on watercolors to use them in scrapbooking. As far as I'm concerned, you can just use maybe even what your kids have in their craft supplies. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And I'm just going to mix up some turquoise and some white here to create this really nice light blue. And this particular palette, I'm pretty sure I got at Michael's. And once it's mixed with water, it's still actually pretty dry. And the nice thing about that is it's not going to warp the paper too much. And it actually leaves kind of almost like a little bit of a chalky texture on your paper. And I don't mind that. It's actually just fine. And it kind of actually leaves sort of almost a raised texture on the paper. And I like that. So this is perfect. It just kind of shows you that you don't need to spend a lot of money on some mixed media supplies to have some fun things to work with for a layout. So I'm just using the packaging technique here, just putting some of this paint onto my plastic and just putting it down there in just kind of random areas. The idea that I had for this design was to create a little area in the bottom right corner and then another area in the top left corner, so going diagonally across the paper. And this does actually create a few little issues for me as I'm working through this layout, which I'll kind of talk about as we go through. So I'm just doing a combination here of using the packaging technique and then just doing some splatters in the different colors. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, some pink, some blue, and I'm going to mix a little bit of white and orange together to kind of create a coral tone. And those will be the four colors for the layout. I'm really just using my stash mostly for this. I'm not really necessarily sticking with any one collection, just kind of using a few bits and pieces from a variety of different things to create the layout today. And I think really it's just a good example of how you can just go into your stash and just find whatever is going to work for a particular layout. It doesn't have to be anything brand new. It can just be, you going through your stash and seeing things that are in different specific colors that you want to use, etc., that will work on the layout that you're working on. So I'm just creating that little area up in the top left corner there. And I'm going to, like I said, just create those two little areas. And the other areas of the layout are going to be blank. So there's going to be quite a bit of white space in this layout. So I'm going to just take my little circle punch here and I'm going to cut out some circles of a piece of dictionary paper. And when I actually had a colleague that retired quite a few years ago now, I'm going to say probably 20 years ago. And when he retired, he gave me this old dictionary that was in his classroom. And it's basically just falling apart. So I brought it home and I use it now in my art journaling and my scrapbooking and stuff. So that's where that dictionary is from. Now, what I'm using here is a texture stamp from Darkroom Door, and this one is called Triangles. And I believe I bought this from Simon Says Stamp, and I really love their stamps. I love the texture stamps from this particular company, and they have just really, really neat and interesting stamps, and they're pretty inexpensive too. And Simon Says Stamp carries a lot of them in their online shop. I'm just wanting to create a bunch of interest with some stamps here. So I just pull a bunch from my stash, and you can see that I have stamped some of those down. The butterfly and that text stamp are from Stampers Anonymous, I believe. And I'm not really sure which stamps exactly they are, but you can just use whatever you have. It doesn't have to be these specific stamps. If you wanted to duplicate an idea like this, it can be just anything. Go into your stash and find stamps that you think are interesting that will look nice. I love using my stamps on my scrapbooking layouts, and I do that often. And I just find that they just add a little bit of extra interest. And I like the black ink on there. I think that it's just a really nice pop of black on those bright colors. So now I'm just going to create my photo layers here, and I used some tissue paper, and that will actually be my first layer. And now I'm just creating some other layers with just some other papers. So I use a piece from the Dear Lizzie collection. I think it's a new collection. I believe it's Lovely Day. And then I also use a piece of blue paper that has blue polka dots on it from my stash, and I think that's just a pad of paper from Recollections. And actually the paper that I use for the mat behind the entire layout there that you can see is kind of pink and blue is also from this same paper pad. And I think I got that at Michael's when it was super cheap. You know, they have those deals where you can get those great big thick paper pads for $5 or $6. I think I probably got it when it was 70% off or something like that. So I'm just going to create those layers on this behind this photo, and I'm just kind of playing around with it there and positioning it and seeing kind of where I want it to be. I'm going to take these little circles that I cut out of that dictionary paper, and I'm going to stick those down in 3 different areas, kind of to take your eye from the bottom and then through the middle of the layout and then back up to the top over in that left-hand corner. And so you'll see me just add that over there. I actually worked on this layout off and on all week. My students just handed in essays. I've had comparative essays to mark this week. I think I had 60 papers to mark, and so I've mostly been doing that this week, but I kind of popped into my scrap room for a little bit of a break here and there during the week. So finally got a chance to finish this up tonight and do the video for it. So that's kind of how my week has gone. And just gonna get this all stuck down. Use some of my liquid adhesive here to stick that down on top of that watercolor, just so that I make sure it sticks really well on that mixed media. And give that a good stick, and then I'm going to just shove a little doily in behind there as a layer. I like how that looks, and this is just a little random piece of ephemera. Actually, I think I cut that out of a 6x6 pad cut apart, maybe a Maggie Holmes one from, I don't know, a couple collections ago maybe. So this is all just random stuff from my stash. That little piece of vellum, I couldn't even tell you where that came from, but just from some die cut pack. That sweet little bunny, I absolutely love. That is from the latest Dear Lizzie dimensional stickers, and I love that. Bailey's nickname is Bunny, and this picture that I'm scrapping is a picture of Bailey and my mom. I love this photograph. I think Bailey was probably about 4 in this picture, and this is just her and Grandma chilling. This is us at the lake. We used to go camping a lot with my mom and dad, especially when my kids were little, and the kids just loved it, and we had so much fun with them. And of course my mom loved to camp, and she loved to spend time with the kids. So this was just capturing a moment where we'd probably had a really big day, and it was likely hot out, and everybody was just sitting around and having a little bit of a break. So it's just a really cute picture. I love it. It's a sweet one. So I'm going to just take these Heidi Swap stickers, and I'm going to use that word favorite as my title for the layout. And you can see that that same sheet has a bunch of heart stickers on it and some other little bits and pieces of stickers. I'm going to take some of these little puffy stickers too and add them here and there. So I'm just adding a few little bits and pieces around the layout just to finish it up, to finish embellishing it. So that top left-hand corner is pretty much done now. And I'm just going to try a few other things here, and thought maybe I would add that word friends on there, but it doesn't really fit. It doesn't go. So I decided just to stick with that word favorite, and I like how that looks. It's got that really pretty blue color that matches up with the blue in the layout, and it stands out really well because it's super shiny, and you can see that nicely there. I'm going to just kind of put that in that area in that corner. And I like the curve to that title or that word favorite. I think it just fits in there really nicely. So I'm going to use that in that area. Now, the difficult part for this layout and figuring out what to do with it was that area between the two corners, right? So it just seemed so empty to me. So I decided just to put a couple more little embellishments in that area, or I guess just maybe that one heart sticker. And then what I decided to do was to do some splattering, and I decided to use some black ink for that. And I'm just going to take a paintbrush and just really saturate the brush with that ink, and then just kind of try to drop some really big ink splotches in between there, just to take your eye up through that center area. Otherwise, I just thought it looked so blank. And I thought about doing some, I don't know, some things with maybe some a cut file or something in that area, but I just couldn't really sort out how to make anything work there. So as it turns out in the end, I do really like it. I think it looks good with those splatters there, and it does definitely draw your eye up through that kind of blank area in the center of the layout. So that's about it for my layout today, guys. And thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my process today. I hope you get a chance to get into your room and or your crafting area and get crafty and try some watercolor on your next scrapbooking layout. Okay, that's it. So I'll see you another time and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.